As students today are bombarded by movies, television, tapes, and other media which contain obvious and obscure attempts made by others to get the students to think as they think, believe what they believe, and to do what they hope they will do, the need to teach critical listening and thinking skills increases. As the quantity of printed matter that is supposed to be informative increases, and the necessity for judging its probable validity becomes more crucial, teachers must assume responsibility to teach students not only to understand what is read, but also to evaluate the ideas that are presented. Thinking or reading critically is not only an intellectual skill, but it is also an attitude. Students need to be taught to read narrative and expository materials with an inquiring attitude. Ideas must be weighed and writers judged. The Teaching Critical Comprehension Skills text provides teachers with dialogues that teach students to judge whether or not the information they read is fact. Fact is defined as information that is true, that is accurate or correct, information that usually can be proved to be true. To help the reader or listener judge whether or not the information that is read is fact, the learner is taught first to use his or her personal experience.
You will decide if the information you read could be fact. Fact is information that is true. It is accurate or correct. It is information that usually can be proved to be true. What is fact?
Information that is true.
Good answering. To help you decide if the information you read could be fact, you can use your experience. You may have seen or done it. I will read this information and decide if it could be fact by using my experience, what I have seen or done. Tadpoles change into frogs. I know this information is accurate. I have watched tadpoles grow legs and their tails become smaller until finally they become frogs. I used my experience. This information is fact. It is true. Why do I think this information is fact?
Because it's true.
Okay, I saw tadpoles change into frogs. To help me decide if this information is fact, I used my experience. You will read this information and decide if it could be fact by using your experience, what you have seen or done. Read aloud. Okay. From your experience, what you have seen or done, could this information be true?
Yes.
Okay. Why do you think this information is fact? Okay. Have you seen it? So you've been saying, because I've seen it. How do you know this information could be fact? Okay. What did you do to help you decide if this information you read could be fact?
You will read this information and decide if it could be fact by using your experience, what you have seen or done. Read aloud.
Exercise makes your lungs breathe faster and makes your heart beat faster.
Excellent. From your experience, what you have seen or done, could this information be fact?
Yes.
Good. Why do you think this information could be fact? Just tell me what your experience is. Tell me what you did. How do you know? Okay, what did you do? Tell me exactly what you did. Ran? Ran a mile. Did all of you run? Did any of you do something else? What? Tell me. Everybody tell me. What did you do to know that this is true? Aerobics. Okay. Anybody else? Ran? Ride bicycles. Andrew rode bicycles. Okay. How do you know that your heart was beating faster? Could you feel it? Okay. What did you do to help you decide if the information you read could be fact? Okay, everybody tell me again, what did you do?
Used your experience.
Used your experience. Tell me what you did.
Use your experience.
Okay, only you used your experience. What did you do to help you decide if the information you read could be fact?
Use my experience.
Excellent. Read with me one way you can decide if the information you read could be fact. Read.
Could the
Information you read be fact? Number 1, use your own experience. Have you seen it or done it?
A second way that a reader can judge whether or not the information that is read or heard is fact is to read other material to check if the same information is given.
You will decide if the information you read could be fact. Fact is information that is true. It is accurate or correct. It is information that usually can be proved to be true. What is fact?
information that is true.
Perfect. To help you decide if the information you read could be fact, you can read other material to check if the same information is given. I will read this information and decide if it could be fact by reading other material to check if the same information is given. The submarine bird, its real name is grebe. It dives underwater to escape danger. Even a mother grebe with a baby grebes on her back will quickly submerge when a strange noise is heard. A grebe often swims underwater to catch food. The information I will check is, first, that it's called a submarine bird. So that's my first fact. Number 2 will be that its real name is grebe. Number 3 is that it dives underwater to escape danger. Number 4 would be that the mother grebe with the baby grebes on her back will submerge, so we'll put number 4. And the last one is that a grebe often swims underwater to catch food. Those are the 5 facts that I want to find. I will read other material to check if the same information is given. Other material may help me decide if this information could be fact. And I'm going to use the Audubon Encyclopedia, but because the print is so small, I placed it on an overhead for you to read. From the Audubon Encyclopedia, it says, grebes are swimmers, though they do not have webbed feet. Grebes often carry young birds on their backs, even when it is necessary to submerge to avoid danger. The chicks cling to the feathers during the submarine ride. The escape tactics of these divers, ducking like a flash, rising only long enough to breathe, are familiar to anyone who has pursued them in a boat. It feasts on leeches, tadpoles, frogs, insects, and small fishes. What information is the same information as I read first? Well, first of all, I want to know if it's called the submarine bird. And I don't see that, so I don't have the first one. Its real name is grebe. It says grebes, so I do have the fact that it's called a grebe. It dives underwater to escape danger. And it says it will go underwater to avoid danger. So I have the second one, or the third one. And the fourth one is that the babies will cling to the feathers or to the back when she submerges. And I have that one. The last one is that it swims underwater to catch food. Now this one tells me what it eats, but it doesn't tell me that it swims underwater to catch them. Okay, so I have fact 2, 3, and 4. They could be true because I read other material to check if the same information is given.
Judging whether or not the information that is presented is an opinion will help the learner judge its accuracy. Opinion is information which someone believes or thinks is true, but which everyone may not agree is true. It has not been proved to be true. For example, in 10 years, most people will be driving cars that will not need gasoline. This is opinion. It is what the author thinks. It has not been proved to be true. The opinions may also be judging something. For example, Leonardo da Vinci is the greatest artist who ever lived. The author is judging artists. Other people may not agree with the author. It has not been proved to be true. Learners are taught to identify clue words that can show that the author is judging or giving an opinion. A critic is a person who judges with severity. Critical reading is judging not only the text, but also the author. A critical reader and listener checks on the author's qualifications. Is the author or speaker an expert in the information that is being presented? Was the information checked for accuracy by someone else? And when was the information published?
You will judge if the information you read could be fact. Fact is information that is true. It is accurate or correct. It is information that usually can be proved to be true. What is fact?
Information that is true.
Good. To help you judge if the information you read could be fact, you can check to see if the author is an expert in the information he wrote. You check the author's qualifications for writing the information. You can also see if the information was checked for accuracy by others and when the information was published. The title of this book is The People's Republic of China, Red Star of the East. The information in this book is about the geography and the history and the way people live in China. I will find the author's name on the title page. The author's name is Jane Werner Watson. I will check the qualifications, the author's qualifications for writing the information. I will check the amount of education and what he studied. I will check jobs or positions she has had and check other material she has written. See if the information was checked for accuracy by others, and check when the information was printed. I can look for information about the author and how the material was checked for accuracy by looking at the book jacket, if it has one. This book doesn't have one. The inside cover, the title page, a page near the front of the book, or a page near the back of the book. Where can I look for information about the author and how the material was checked for accuracy? I can look on the book jacket. Where can I look?
On the book jacket.
If you have a book jacket. This book doesn't have one, does it? I can look on the inside cover. Where can I look?
On the inside cover.
Boy, I like the way you're all responding and you've got your eyes right on me. That's fantastic. I can look on the title page. Where can I look?
On the title page.
Good, I like the way you're responding. I can look on a page in the front of the book or a page in the back of the book. Where can I look?
On the page in the front of the book or the back of the book.
Very good. The author's name is Jane Werner Watson. I found information about the author on the front cover, on the inside of the front cover of the book, and on a page in the back of the book. About the author. Jane Werner Watson brings to this series an ability to present facts in lively and interesting ways, a real talent for storytelling, a love of culture, and a desire to share these with children everywhere.
If the information isn't fact, is it fiction? What kind of fiction? About famous people or events? Realistic fiction? Fantasy? In a second section of the Teaching Critical Comprehension Skills text, students are taught that fiction is writing the author invented or made up. He uses his imagination. A whole story or book can be fiction. Part of a story or book can be fiction. Fiction can be about real people or events, but the author used his imagination in writing about them. Or fiction can be about people, things, or events that are true to life. They are realistic, but they are not actually real. The reader is also taught that a make-believe story that could not possibly happen is also fiction. Students often do not recognize that books of history, science, biography contain invented material and embellished facts. Though many times it is difficult or even impossible to state what is fiction or what is fact, it is important to recognize that it might be fiction.
You will identify writing that is fiction. Fiction is writing the author invented or made up. He used his imagination. A whole story or book can be fiction. A part of a story or book can be fiction. Fiction is writing the author invented or made up. What is fiction?
Writing the author made up.
Very good. Writing the author invented or made up. What is fiction?
Writing the author invented or made up.
Super. I saw everyone responding, and you've got your eyes right on me. That's terrific. Fiction can be about real people or events. But the author used his imagination in writing about them. What can fiction be about? Real people or events. What can fiction be about?
Real people or events.
Very good. I will read a selection and decide if it can be fiction. This story is about a famous person, Christopher Columbus. Someday I will sail across the sea, he said to his younger brother, Bartholomew. I will sail across the sea to new lands. Christopher Columbus, his mother scolded. You are a weaver's son. But do you weave cloth? Oh no. You weave dreams, dreams of the sea. That's what you weave. This part of the story must have been made up by the author. The author could not have known exactly what Christopher Columbus and his mother said unless he had been there or unless a record was kept. This is unlikely. The author could not know what these people said. I think this part of the selection is fiction. Why do I think this part of the selection is fiction? Because the author could not have known exactly what Christopher Columbus and his mother said. Good. In another part of the story, the author writes, Columbus kept a diary or log of the voyage. Each day he wrote how far he had sailed, what he had seen, and what had happened. On the third day at sea, the rudder of the Pinta broke loose. They had to stop at one of the Canary Islands for repairs. This part of the story could be true because the author could have gotten the information from the diary that Christopher Columbus wrote. A record had been kept of what happened.
Identifying fiction is not intended to do away with the charm of invented stories of historical characters or contemporary figures, but rather to recognize the stories for what they are. Readers and listeners need not be callously unbelieving of anything that is read or heard, but neither should they be gullible in taking information that is read or heard automatically as fact. A critical reader-listener is discerning. A third section in the text teaches students to identify different techniques used in persuasive writing. Propaganda is used for the purpose of influencing one's thoughts and actions. It's not necessarily associated with bad intentions, and is used for promoting health drives, for example, as well as for personal aggrandizement. In this section, one set of directives is used to teach 5 different types of propaganda techniques: emotional words, common touch, bandwagon, card stacking, testimonial.
You will read to identify propaganda techniques. Propaganda techniques are ways the author deliberately tries to persuade the reader to think and do what the author wants. What are propaganda techniques? Ways that the author tries to persuade the reader to do or think what he wants. Good. The emotional words technique is the way that the author uses emotional words or phrases to get the reader to think or do what the author wants.
An important aspect of teaching the skills found in the Teaching Critical Comprehension text is that some of the materials to be used during instruction should come from the content text and newspapers and magazines the students are capable of reading. Let them evaluate the authors of the books they are reading and judge the accuracy of the articles they read and the TV shows they watch. Provide them with references and resources to see if the same information is given as that which they are studying. Help them to determine when opinions are given, including your own and theirs. Other critical reading skills are taught as students learn to draw conclusions or summarize what they have read. Critical reading skills are taught as students learn to make inferences based upon the details they obtain as they read. They are critical readers when they determine relevancy and irrelevancy in what they read. Directives to teach these skills are found in other ECRI texts. Creative comprehension could also be considered a critical reading or thinking skill, since it involves reorganizing information, extending it, and or creating new aspects of it. In the ECRI Teaching Creative Comprehension Skills text, the teacher learns to teach students to think and produce something new rather than receive or reiterate existing knowledge. The skills taught in this text develop ideational fluency, expressional fluency, spontaneous flexibility, originality, and elaboration. As pupils are more able to elaborate at the creative comprehension level, they become more adept at the interpretive and critical levels to challenge, to revise, to verify, and to justify. Although the book divides creative comprehension skills into 2 broad areas, putting oneself into a story and extending the story, teachers are taught dozens of ways to have students do both of these.
You will read and put yourself in the story. To put yourself in the story, decide how you would act or feel if you were in the story. What do you do when you put yourself in the story?
Decide
Good.
how you would act or feel if you were in the story.
Good answer. Boy, Angie, you have your eyes right on me. I will read part of the story and put myself in it. I will decide how I would act or feel if I were in the story. As I read, I will decide how I would feel and what I would do if I were Danny. As I read, you also decide how you would feel and what you would do if you were Danny. 5 rainbow trout. Danny was tingling with excitement. Since the family had arrived at the summer cabin for a week's vacation, no one had been able to catch 1 fish. But he had 5. They would have a fish dinner after all before they left for home in the morning. The winding path will take too long, thought Danny. I'll take a shortcut. After walking and climbing for what seemed an hour, Danny finally had to admit that he was lost. The fish did not seem too important anymore. He had to find his way to the cabin before it got dark. I will put myself in the story. If I were Danny, I would feel frightened, and I would try to solve my problem by trying to find a tree that was tall enough and climb up to the top and then look at the stream where I was fishing. And if I could find the stream and walk to it, then I could find my way back to the cabin. Tell how you would solve the problem if you were Charlie.
I'm trying to find my way
Students will become more creative as they have more opportunities to elaborate. Give prompts if needed. Encourage students to add to your ideas if no original ideas are forthcoming. Let pupils restate one of your ideas if necessary to begin students responding. As fluency of thought is taught and students develop an ability to verbalize ideas, even as vocabulary is introduced, and as they learn to express original ideas as they read and reinforce for their originality, they will begin to seek out novel ideas and hidden significance in their reading. ECRI teachers who focus on the importance of the critical and creative thinking skills free students from parroting back an endless recollection of trivia. ECRI teachers recognize, however, that one cannot be a critic nor free to create until the author's message has been received and understood. Literal comprehension is a foundation for all other understandings. Read each of the 3 comprehension texts carefully. Follow directions for developing materials such as add-on charts. These are charts that are added on as new skills are taught. Practice with other teachers using the suggested practice materials. Check your proficiency with the proficiency checklists. With the use of the critical and creative comprehension texts, you now have a way to teach your students systematically to read critically and creatively. And as you do, you will increase the potential of your students to learn and to enjoy learning. The opportunity to teach students to read and listen critically and creatively has only recently been available to teachers. If you do this, you will increase your students' intellectual prowess, develop their ability to assess and expand upon their instructional tools, and stimulate their enjoyment in learning.